Welcome to Deep Thought. Disconnection is a big issue. Disconnection is a big issue. You know, I talked about people feeling invisible, people feeling touch deprived. Ultimately, it's an issue of disconnection. We're really spirits with bodies, not bodies with a spirit. Our permanent form is spirit. That's our permanent form. These bodies are just temporary vessels for us. These bodies are just temporary vessels. Indeed, according to many traditions, and you know me, I always respect traditions, so I'm not going to say, well, it's the truth for many, for others it's speculation, for others they're not going to believe it, but we live many lives. Now, I would just say if you don't believe that, just be open to what I'm saying. You know, we in many bodies, many experiences, but the only permanent thing is our spirit. And one of the things that spirit needs is to connect. That's one of the things. We need to connect with people. It's not a sexual thing. Let me be clear on that. We need to just connect. We need to feel connected to the people around us. We need to feel connected to our family. We need to feel connected to our community. We need to feel connected to our human race. Ultimately, we need to feel connected to all of life. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen like it once did, maybe in ancient times. We don't feel connected. A lot of people are in a bubble. A lot of people, they feel invisible. How can they feel connected if they feel invisible? Many people are touch deprived. How can they feel connected if they touch deprived? Indeed, there are situations where people are disconnected that affects them even in their relationships, however they do everything. You know, you could have someone like, I'm going to tell you what, and this is a relationship thing. A lot of people have problems in relationships because of disconnection issues that stem from their childhood. Like if somebody goes through life, you know, early in life and they get some type of disconnection from their opposite sex parent at a certain age, that can affect them in life. And the reason is they will have trouble interacting with the opposite sex because of that disconnection. And the disconnection could have been caused by myriad things. And not necessarily by the opposite sex parent. The parent might have thought they were doing something normal and even good, but the child saw it as a disconnection. Because if you talk about relationships, let me use that as an example since everybody knows about relationships. The biggest thing ain't how good you look. Even when I talk about body game, how great your body thing is, doesn't mean even how cool your personality is. It doesn't mean how much money you have. It doesn't mean what your social status is or how many followers you got on social media. It comes down to one thing. Can you connect with another person on a spiritual level? Just connect. I don't care what you got going on. Y'all still, if y'all going to call it a relationship or a couple, y'all still have to connect. But if you have suffered some type of disconnection in life, particularly as a child, you'll have trouble connecting. You get a lot of people like that. Like you have a lot of very physically attractive people, men and women. And they have the biggest problems in relationships. And the issue is with every single one. I'm going to say every single one, disconnection. They suffered a disconnection when they were younger and it was never solved. And then I'm just using that as an example in relationships. That could extend all the way. Remember, I was talking about feeling invisible. What if somebody suffered some type of disconnection as a child? Like other kids didn't play with them. Other kids didn't interact with them. They get to the point where it's hard to make friends. You know, as a child, what's going to happen when they're an adult? They got a serious disconnection issue. They weren't touched enough as a child. They didn't have that physical contact that they need. What they're going to have as an adult. That's part of the disconnection. And it's a major thing. It's something, and I'm going to tell you what, ordinary therapists and doctors will have trouble healing that issue because that's a spiritual thing. We see one of the things is we don't talk about just ordinary friendships, ordinary human connection. except in maybe, well, I don't even hear it in most holistic circles, to be honest with you. But we need that. No human being is an island. We are all part of the one whole. We are all we're all in an ocean. Every single person is merely a drop in that ocean. The person that's listening to this podcast in San Francisco ultimately has a connection with the person listening to this podcast in Hong Kong. You're both human. And there's usually only a few degrees of separation between any person on this planet. There might be just that one person that y'all know in common. Just that one. That's seriously, out of billions, there's that one person that y'all both met at different points in your life. So there's always a connection, no matter what. But then if you're disconnected, you don't feel that connection. How often do people get around people, and they can even be similar, but you still feel outside the circle? Something is missing. They have everything in common. You have the same educational background. Y'all work in the same field. Y'all can have the same racial background, same gender. You can have all that, but you feel something is missing. That's a disconnection. Now, of course, some people try to artificially create connections based on those superficial things, but they can fall to the wayside. The most important connections are spiritual. And it's tough when we need to do it. Like if somebody feels like they have that disconnection issue, I would say you have to pray and you have to work on it. And it's tough. It is not easy. Let me just be clear on that. And I'm going to say this personally. I'm going to put it out. I've had a disconnection issue. I can stay to myself easily. And there have been times in my life I had to kind of make myself interact. And I said before, people didn't see me as invisible, so it's almost being forced to interact. I don't regret it, but I needed that. And I know different people have different levels of disconnection. I see it all the time. Different levels. Some people can't connect with anybody. Some people, they can superficially connect with a group of people, but really still to themselves. And it's something really major to look at. Like I said, it comes down to your spirit. Your spirit, that's the most important thing. Your spirit has to connect. And all I can say at this point is just work on it. First, recognize that you have that issue. You might not. I mean, like I said, it's different levels. And some people have grown up in a loving family, loving community, loving environment. They don't feel invisible. They are not touch deprived. They are truly blessed. And if you're someone who might feel disconnected, but you see that person who has that, right? You see that person that has a connection. It's obvious. You can feel it in your spirit. Watch what they're doing. Learn from them. If you can, talk to them. Explain your situation. And they can probably help you the best that they can. All right? But it's something I want everybody to really think about. All right? So, really think on this. Because it's not an easy answer. It is some work. I can say that from personal experience. It's work. And continual work. So, I want y'all to think on that and everything I talked about this week. And peace and blessings, everyone. Keep rising.